yeah, it's great to have you here. We can just sort of extend it out a bit longer. Just hear about the rock and robin days.
I'm not going to live that down there, am I?
No. Little secret, Bob. And yeah, just that transformation moment where you clicked, something shifted in you from, now obviously it takes a while to work it all out.
Yeah.
But, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
69, and I'll be 70 in February.
Wow. And how old were you when you gave your heart to the Lord?
82.
So how old were you then?
I was 30.
Yeah. Wow, so you've, over half your life now, you've had more time with the Lord.
Yep.
And
I've been a Christian longer than I wasn't a Christian yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can we do like a spitfire from when you were young right up to before you meet Christ?
Yeah.
Paint the picture.
Paint the picture, yeah. Where you were born, maybe a little bit of family history.
Yep.
Originally from New Zealand?
No.
You're Aussie, eh? Oh, praise the Lord.
Yeah. My mother's Irish and my father was English.
Oh, wow.
So both criminals coming over.
I'm not sure about that.
No, that was my family. Okay, born in
Brisbane.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a Queensland boy.
Come on.
We haven't moved far. Most of my life was lived in Brisbane. Later in life when I got married, we lived in the Redlands down in Cleveland and lived there for quite some time. And then we moved back to Brisbane, and then from Brisbane we moved down the Gold Coast.
Father was
He was a man.
That's a legitimate question these days.
Yeah. Okay, well, as I tell the story, I'll sort of include that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's go.
In the story, And, so I was brought up actually in the Salvation Army.
Oh, wow.
And taken there sort of every Sunday, went to Sunday school, and later in life I put a uniform on and played in the band and that sort of thing.
What'd you play?
Cornet, which is a small trumpet.
Thank you for explaining that, because I didn't know.
I don't think the cornet has keys, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it have the
valves? Yeah.
the valves?
Yeah.
That's just a little one, eh? Just this.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's the one, yeah.
Big Bob with the little cornet.
Yeah, that's right. But I've got to say that I had, even though I was brought up in the church and went to church, I had no relationship with Jesus at all. Maybe as a little kid, I went to the Billy Graham crusade when I was a little kid.
Did you?
Yeah, and but I can't really remember if my relationship was real or not. My memory is that it wasn't real.
Right.
And so anyway, I was born went to the Salvation Army, grew up, and later in life I rebelled and sort of left the church when I was about 20, and what I thought I was having a good time. I mean, I was living the life, like I'm sick, what was that, 50 odd years ago, 55 years ago, I wasn't the guy that's sitting in front of you. I was younger and had more hair and wasn't as heavy, and I was a bit of a man about town,
Right.
And so I enjoyed is not, when I look back,
No,
that's not the right word, but I mean at the time I enjoyed sort of quite a worldly sort of lifestyle,
What do they say? There's pleasure in sin for a season.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's what the Bible says.
Yeah.
So it's true.
Yeah.
It feeds your flesh and it feels good, even though as destructive it is.
Absolutely.
It still feels.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I had no even desire to even think about God, really, and I just went on and enjoying the things that I was doing, and met Julie and got married. She was the girl next door when she not the house, but she was working next door to where I was working, and that's sort of how I met her.
What were you doing and what was she doing?
I was working in the family business, which was a better electrical store.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah. And she worked in the chemist next door.
There you go.
Wow.
So that's how we met, and we started dating and got married. And as I said in in our testimony, we were married for about 4 years, so we were 4 years of living the unsaved lifestyle together, and that was heading to be a disaster, really.
How old were you?
And I got married at 25.
Okay.
And Julie was a child bride. She was still 19 when we got married.
Right.
She turned 20 after we got married. And so, yeah, that would have, if we hadn't have got saved, I think that would have ended up being a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, and you can ask Julie, she'll verify that. Well, where to now? Okay, yeah, and I think, as I said in my testimony, my mother and my sister were Christians. They were what was called holy rollers, you know.
Right.
And
Happy clappers.
yeah.
Holy rollers.
Shaking bacon.
That's
Shaking
right.
bacon.
Yeah. And my father was very sort of critical of them at the time, you know. And my mother and him, or he ended up actually divorcing my mum later. And so my sister and mum were actually praying for us. And they used to invite us regularly along to church, and we used to say no, and, you know. And I think I actually told the story that they invited Julie to a women's Aglow meeting, you know. And that just about put the nail in the coffin, because she come home and she said, "Your family is absolutely crazy." You know?
She went.
Yeah, she went.
She sure.
And they were, speaking in tongues and singing in the spirit and rolling on the floor, you know.
Fire! Sha-la-la-la-la.
And she come home and she said, "I'm never going there again." You know, they're nutters. But God was obviously
famous last words. Right?
Yeah. But God was obviously working on. I mean, it's hard to explain, but He was obviously working on us, softening our heart. You know, one thing that I've just remembered now is that during this process, we had our first child when we decided to have children pretty well straight away after we got married, and but 12 months sort of went on and nothing was happening. So we were sort of thinking, oh, maybe we should go and have some tests and, you know, see if there's anything wrong there. And we were in the process of having an appointment with the doctor to actually start the ball rolling, having tests, and Julie fell pregnant. So we scrapped that idea and said that was fine. So I'll come and clarify later, but during that time, we actually got saved, but we already had the little girl, but then we wanted to have a second child, and that absolutely was not happening, you know. So again, we started going down the road of going to the doctor and having tests and everything, and we were referred to a specialist in the field, and Julie and I both had tests. She went into hospital, had tests, and I had tests, and anyway, we finally got called into this. He was a professor. And we got called into his office and we sat down and he pulled out this file on us and it was like this thick.
Wow.
And he said, well, there's the results of all your tests, and I've sent them all around the world to all different sort of professors and everything, so to get second opinions, and everyone's had a look at it. And he said, I won't bore you with all the technical details, but I've got the proof here in front of me in this file, and the bottom line is you can't have kids. And he says, I can't explain why you've had one, but be happy with one and you can't have any more, you know?
So it's a medical impossibility.
It was, yeah, that's what he called it, a medical impossibility. Now, I'm just thinking as I'm talking, I'll change the story a little bit. This was actually before we got saved. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was. When we had the test, it was before we got saved. And Julie had a little bit of a tendency to be a bit of a worrywart, and, you know, and she won't mind me saying this. She'll agree with me. And if anything goes wrong, you think, oh, you know, how? Well, not now, but back in those days, oh, how's Julie going to handle this, you know? Anyway, when we walked out of the doctor's office downstairs to the car park, I was sort of on tenterhooks, you know. She's going to lose it, you know, because she's just been told she can't have any more kids, and that was her real desire to have more children. Anyway, I looked at her and she just had peace about her, and she said, you know what? She said, I'm not concerned because I just feel that someone has said to me that everything will be all right, Jill.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, she had that peace, and this was, you know, before we got saved. And so anyway, going forward, okay, how did we get saved? Going forward, we because my mum and my sister were praying for us, and I don't know, we just got to the stage where we couldn't deny him any longer.
Right.
You know, we went to a couple of meetings. We went to a Steve Ryder meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Ryder.
Yeah. And
Outreach.
and then we were invited by my mother up to Garden City Christian Church where they attended.
Yeah.
And they were having a worldwide communion service, which was Dr. Reg Clemenock, who was the senior pastor of Garden City, Kenneth Copeland, and Yongi Cho.
Wow.
They were all linked up with satellite all over the world. And in the 1980s, well, this was 1982, that was pretty,
Big deal.
cutting edge stuff, So we responded to the altar call, and Julie and I both walked out hand in hand at the same time, responded to the altar call. And
You already had one kid at that stage?
yes, we had the little girl.
And she was with you?
Yes.
So you all walked out together? The three of you? Or she was in a kids program or...
To be honest, I can't
remember. Okay, that's okay.
I can't remember if she actually walked out or she stayed with her grandmother in the... Yeah.
In the pew. Okay.
I can't remember that, to be honest.
That's all right.
She might have been, walking beside us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, she has, of course, grown up and she's made her own decision and she's going on with the Lord. I think you've met them. They go to Glow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, where was I?
Sorry, you walked out front with...
with
Responded.
Julie. Responded. And, it's... How I can recall it is that I just couldn't deny him any longer, because I'd been down the path. I'd tried it my way, and so I just decided to try it God's way, and asked him to come into our life. And we changed. God started working. I know that...
So it was a conscious decision. So you, before the night, had you decided that you're going to give your life to Jesus, or on the night? While you were there, you just felt that drawing?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's hard to answer because I think it was a process we were going through because, as I said, we'd already been to a Steve Ryder meeting about a week earlier. So something was happening, and then we responded to this other invitation to go to Garden City. And, look, I can't put my finger on when it happened,
Because some people have that, like a defined, like it was that meeting. Now you stepped out of faith and responded.
Well, I think,
which was certainly.
I think that was. I think that was the time that we sort of went forward. From there, And it's a funny thing. Like once we'd made that decision and asked God into our lives, the particular church didn't have a very good follow-up system, so we never saw anyone for ages. But as far as we knew, we were Christians now.
Cool.
So we were going to church,
Got the T-shirt.
We were just doing our own thing. And anyway, one day we got a knock on the door, and it was the leader of the local home group had finally been filtered our names. So he decided to, come and give us a visit. And to be honest, I was suspicious because I didn't know who's this guy knocking at the door, And I rang up my mother. Because she worked in the office at Garden City, and she said, "Oh yeah, he's legit. He's, So they invited us along to the home group, and we got involved.
Did you find that once there was that shift in your heart, all the previous 20 years while you're in the Salvation Army, did it flick a switch as well, or no? Your 20-year base of Bible. Did that have any significant or not?
Did dots connect or nah?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
To be honest, because I think because my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I didn't have a real relationship. I'd obviously heard sermons and things like that. No, but they, went in here and out here.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
All right. Wow. So then, okay, you're going to a Connect group now. You're Bible study, getting into the Word.
Yep.
What else? What other things changed, shifted?
Okay. We got water baptized.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Julie and I got water baptized on the same night.
Cool.
And after the water baptism service, we all decided to go to Macca's as a family. Well, when I say a family, there was Julie, myself, our little 3-year-old blonde-haired daughter, and my mum. Right?
cool.
So we were sitting in Macca's, and Sarah, who's our daughter, was sitting beside Julie, and just out of the blue, she turned to Julie and said, "Mummy, can I please have a baby brother? I'd like a baby brother." Or she said something like that, you know. And Julie, of course, just didn't know what to say. So she just shrugged her off. She said, "Oh, you'll have to ask Jesus about that one," and changed the subject and
Fair call.
and kept
And good answer.
yeah. So anyway, this little 3-year-old blonde-haired kid sitting in McDonald's immediately went, "Dear Lord Jesus, can I please have a baby brother? Thank you very much, amen." And as far as we know, Andy was conceived that night.
Wow. Wow.
And so he's a miracle boy.
Wow.
You know.
Whoa.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You've told her that story?
Oh, yeah. Sarah, yeah. Yeah.
I brought you into this world, mate.
In fact, you know what siblings are like.
Yeah, 100%.
And of course, whenever she was having a real problem with her baby brother, she'd come to Mum and Mum would say, "Well, you prayed for him."
That's so good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Far out.
And
he's 38 now, so we're talking quite a while ago.
wow. He's like between us.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like our middle brother. Hey, Dad. So
I think you met him once, actually.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. When one of his times that he was back from China, because he was living over in China.
Is he in China now?
No, he's back.
So, did you go back and see the specialist at all?
Funny story.
Yeah,
No.
let's go.
Short answer is no,
Okay.
but one of the doctor's appointment that we had when the little fella, I don't know, checking him out or something, was in the same building as this doctor's office. And anyway, we were in the lift and we had this little baby in our arms and he walked in the lift. And we just weren't quick, you know, we saw him, we recognised him, but we weren't quick enough to say anything. And he looked at us and he looked us up and down, because I think he remembered us, looked at the baby, and then as soon as the lift opened up, he disappeared. So, no, to answer your question, no, we never went back and told him. But
that's cool. You know, it's a miracle. It's a medical impossibility.
Yep, that's what he told us, yeah.
But it's look what happens. A 3-year-old prays.
And even back then, and sort of later on in some of the stories I'm going to tell you, I'll talk about, you know, the peace of God. But even back then, you know, looking back, that Julie had, even when walked out of the office, and, you know, where we were told that it was a medical impossibility to have children, she had that peace even back then before we were saved.
Wow. That's awesome. And so what are some of the things that started shifting in your life once you know, surrendered to the Lord, you got water baptised? What's some of the changes that took place?
Well, you think, the thinking changed, and I'm reminded of Romans 12:2, you know, that says, "Don't conform to the world," or don't copy. My version, or the version I've read lately, said, "Don't copy the customs or behaviour of the world, but let God," and this is what I like, that word, let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. You know?
I like that. That's nice, that version.
And that's the New Living. And I think if you look at that way too, that word "let" says a lot, because it shows then that you allow it. You know, it's a choice. Like, God's done all the hard yards. You know, he died for us and his blood was shed and everything, and salvation is freely there for us.
Come on.
But we have to let him, you know, we have to let him come in. We have to let him do the work in our lives and change us.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
What's one of the challenges you're going through now at the moment? What's a sort of...
Well, I've been thinking about that, and I think challenges, I can't say there's any great challenges at the moment. You know?
Cool.
But I think, you know, like, God didn't promise us a challenge-free life.
No.
You know, but there will be seasons when you have challenges, and seasons that you don't have challenges. And I just think that in general, just a daily walk, you know, with Jesus, knowing that he's with you, and regardless of what comes. And we've had things in the past that have come, and I'll talk about later, but I've had health problems and things like that.
Right.
but the confidence that you have when you just know that God is with you, you know, and some challenges possibly that when you have that confidence that you know that He's with you, you know, you just have peace and you're just going through it, and it doesn't really seem that hard because you know that God's with me. And you know, some people would have similar sort of challenges and just fall in a heap. Yeah, you know, and I'm reminded of a little story. If I can tell you a little story.
Yes, please do.
Little Johnny's in the schoolyard, and he's only a little fella and that sort of thing, and he gets bullied. You know, there's a couple of bullies and that sort of thing. They're bigger and they're stronger than him, and there's nothing that he can do. And, you know, they'll criticise him and abuse him and tease him and even smack him around. There's nothing he can do. But little Johnny has got a big brother. And
come on,
his big brother is stronger than those bullies. And little Johnny knows it. So when he's walking through the schoolyard and he's beside his big brother, his confidence just completely changed because he knows his big brother's there and he knows his big brother's, you know,
he's got him.
Has got it for him.
Yeah.
And the bullies just don't touch him. And his attitude just completely changes than when he's in the schoolyard by himself. Little story.
And so the moral of the story,
is,
Robin,
yes, is when you know that you know that you know that God is with you, you know, you just have that peace and you just keep going.
Your confidence is different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I like it.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest challenge since you've, you know, since your 30s, since you've been saved?
Well, probably. I mean, if you ask Julie, she'd say my health, you know.
Right.
But I went through quite a few different sort of health situations. And to be honest, I just went through them, you know. I knew God was with me and I came out other end. So it didn't, you know, it wasn't really that big an impact on me. But, you know, it concerned Julie, you know, because I was in 2007, I was diagnosed with cancer.
2007?
Yeah, 2007. And I had chemotherapy and I had radiation therapy. And in January 2008, I was given the all clear. And during that time, again, I've just got to keep saying, you just can't describe it. I just had peace. Right. I just had peace through it, you know. Came out, so they officially said that I was in remission in, I think it was January or February 2008. And I was just about to go back to work, and because I said, right, I'm all clear now and go back to work, and I had a retina detachment. And
jeez.
I previously had one in, I think my left eye was the first one that I had. And I had quite a few operations on that. And the doctors will say that they were happy that the operation was a success, but of course my eye is never the same. You know, the vision isn't the same as it was. But
fully blind?
I've got No, I'm not fully blind.
No. No, I can see you. I can see you looking at me. But did you go blind when that happens?
No, it got distorted. You know, the Bible says that the guy said it's like looking at trees walking.
Yeah.
It's sort of,
Okay.
I can deal with that.
Relate to that.
I can relate to that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got full eyesight, but it is a little bit out of focus. Like I can see everything here. There's no problems. But when you get sort of out, even when you get out, I can see the trees and everything, and I can see the sky. I can see it all. But if you said, "Oh, look, there's a kookaburra in that tree," I couldn't see him.
Right.
You know, and if actually a good side of having that, you know, vision impairment or whatever you want to call it, is that if I'm driving along the road and Julie's with me, and someone abuses me or gives me the signal or something, I don't see it. And Julie said, he just gave you the flip or whatever it is, and he did, you know. And I said, oh, that's nice.
He's doing these ones, and you're going, oh.
Yeah, nice to see you.
The reason is because Bob didn't see him in the first place and cut him off.
No.
Bob's cutting people off left, right and centre.
No, I'd like to.
He's copping abuse and he's
so
like,
many lovely people around today.
I can't see anyone. I'm driving great. I'm driving
No,
awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'd like to take this opportunity, and Julie would agree that I am a good driver because I think because I know that I'm extra cautious.
Right,
you know,
okay.
And I make sure that I pay attention, and I can see everything. Like if someone runs out in front of me, I can see that someone's run out in front of me. I couldn't recognise him. I couldn't tell, oh, that's Jimmy from down the road.
Yeah.
You know, because their features are sort of out of focus, but I can certainly see them.
Yes.
I can certainly see a car. I might not be able to tell you what his number plate license is, but I can see that there's a car there. So I can, and actually, before I just had my, because it was my birthday in February, I had my licence renewed.
Oh, yeah.
And before that, I had actually had a restriction on there that I couldn't drive at night. And when I had the eye test, they said my eyesight has improved, so they took that restriction off.
Come on.
Wow.
I still don't drive at night because I'm not comfortable. You know, so Julie gets to do all the night driving. But so you know, I regularly have tests, and they've given me the big tick, and I'm just cautious.
You say there's something about the peace of God.
Yes.
In your life that's quite important. You want to elaborate on that a bit more?
Well, it's hard to describe. You know, you just you know, like I suppose I've always used the example of David and even the disciples, and you know, read some of the things they went through, you know, and that they suffered, and the confidence that they had, like David when he was standing in front of Goliath. You know, who is this? Who is this guy? You know, I mean, I've got the King of Kings and Lord of Lords with me, and he's helped me kill the lion. He's helped me kill the bear, and he's going to help me with this guy too. You know, and no problems. You know, and the 23rd Psalm, I'll feel no evil because I know that God is with me. And when you're like little Johnny, he knew his brother was with him. Yeah. So you know, it's hard to put a finger on it, but you just got that confidence because you know. And in my case and David's case, God has proved it. God has been with him in the past. God has seen him through situations. God had helped him kill the lion and the bear and everything. So he just knew. Yeah. You know, it's not as if it's just something new that he's just trying to you know, figure out. You know, he knew, he had a knowledge of what God can do in his life.
So I guess when you first got saved, you just picked that up with your faith.
Yeah, you know, you become a new creation. Like, you know, the old is gone, the new has come. That's just all part of it, you know. Yeah. And there's a growing time, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, naturally. But I know Graham Vandy tells the story about when he got saved, you know, and he just changed. Like he went, and I did the same thing. It wasn't straight away, but I started having my Bible reading time and I started doing my devotional time. No one told me to do that. I just started doing it, you know. And one morning, Julie had gone out and I was at home as I was doing my devotions, and I just got a real strong conviction to throw out all alcohol, because alcohol was a big part of our life before getting saved. And we had a cupboard full of alcohol. We had a pretty good stock, you know. And that particular night, Julie's family was coming over because they're all drinkers. We're all drinkers together, you know. And they were coming over for a bit of a get-together. And they normally don't, they got into the habit of not bringing stuff with them because they knew that we had heaps, you know. So old Bob sort of had a little bit of an epiphany that morning in his devotional time. So he went to the cupboard and he poured all the grog down the sink. And so, yeah, that was an interesting night when everybody turned up.
Everyone's sober all night.
And there was no grog, yeah.
Wow. So that was the thing for you?
That was the thing. And that now that's a personal conviction. Sure. Like if you read Romans 14, I think it is, goes through, talks about, you know, personal convictions and things like that. And I haven't strayed from that. I mean, because drinking was a big part of my life, before I got saved, you know, and it was something that it just had to go. But I didn't set about to do it myself. It was just God, you know. Yeah. And once he did that, and I'm true to that conviction, I've never drunk since, except once when my father-in-law, it was his pet mission, if you like, because, we gave up drinking, and he thought, oh, they'll get over it,
They'll get back on it at some point.
They'll get back up. So for years, every time we had a family get-together or whatever, he'd say, oh, have a drink. I'd say, no, I don't drink, And this went on for years. Anyway, one day he did it, and I thought, what am I going to do? I mean, how am I going to get him over this? Because I wanted him to stop it. So I came up with a brilliant idea. I don't know if it was the right idea, but I came up with this idea, and I took his glass of wine, and I said, yeah, okay. I had one sip, and I went, oh, yuck, that's disgusting. And I spat it back in his glass, and I gave it back to him. And he never asked me again.
That's a good plan.
I like that.
Wow. I don't know if it was the right thing to do or not.
Oh, it seems like it.
But
He hasn't talked to him. So.
The relationship's intense.
I just didn't, because, they do think you're going to get over it,
Yeah.
And they say, oh, they'll come to their senses. But but no, once you have that, once you know that God is real and that you've allowed him into your life and he's doing stuff, how can you turn away from that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Just the testimony this morning, I think it was Steve and also Claudia last week, I picked up on something she said and something he said this morning was basically saying yes to Jesus.
Yeah.
And once you've done that,
Yeah.
and he comes in, you can't go back.
Yeah. You can't.
And it's a daily thing, saying yes to Jesus too.
Yeah.
It's not just one time all weeks. It's a daily thing.
That is a daily thing. 30 years, you come to the Lord, 39 years, you've been with the Lord, nearly 40 years. Been in numerous faith communities?
A couple. But only geographic,
Sure.
because we were going to Garden City, which is up in Mount Gravatt, and we lived in the Redlands.
Yep.
And we used to travel up there too, sometimes even 3 times on a Sunday, because I was a deacon and, pretty involved in that sort of thing. And when the kids got, Sarah was about 18 and Andy was about 15, Sarah started dating the local pastor's son of the AOG in where we lived at
cool.
in the Redlands.
Yeah.
And Andy was about 15, so she started going there, and we thought, oh, well, she's 18, we can't really stop her, and, so she got involved there. Then the younger brother started going along with her, and, of course, he met a lot of young kids his own age, and they just lived around the corner from us. So whereas there were kids his age up at Mount Gravatt, but, of course, we didn't live in the area.
Yeah.
So he didn't have, a lot of, because we couldn't drive him up there every 5 minutes to... so he made some good friendships with the people his own age. So then he come home and said, I want to start going to the local one too. And initially we said, no, where our church is, is Garden City and da-da-da. But anyway, we didn't stop them, and we eventually ended up, going to the local church as well, because we thought, well, our kids are going there. It's a local community, and there is a thing to be involved in the local community.
Yeah, for sure.
And we started meeting people there, and going to local home groups and things like that. Yeah, so that was good. So that was then one move, because we lived in the Redlands.
Yeah.
We were there for many years, and then we eventually moved back to Brisbane. So we had another move. So there's been a couple of moves like that. And then, of course, when we moved down the Gold Coast here, there was another move again. That was a good move.
How did you hear about Chapel again?
Well, we sort of knew it was there, because that was back, because we were AOG, so that was back when it was AOG.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when we used to holiday in our apartment, which we did from time to time, we used to go for walks, and on a Sunday we used to have flags.
That's
like
right.
those flags flying out the front.
Yep.
And we said, oh, there's an AOG there, so didn't really think much about it. And then years sort of went on, and then we actually ended up moving into our apartment. And one of the ladies from our old church, which was the worship centre up at Carina, which we were going to at that time, we met her in the shopping centre, and she said, oh, we're moving. We're going down the coast, and we've got to find a church, And she said, oh, friends of mine go to this really good church, and it was Chapel, and she gave us the address, and it turned out it was only 2 streets away from where we live. So, you know, the first week we ended up there, and the second week we ended up there, and the third week we ended up there.
There you go. How long has it been now? 2 years? 2 and a bit?
No, nearly 4. It was May.
Oh.
It was May. So it'll be 4 years in May. Yeah.
Wow.
Were you living in, what's the building called?
Apartment.
Oh, Santa Ann.
Yeah.
You've been there, yeah.
Yeah, I came up to that place, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Geez, what was that?
Sick
Who was?
invite. Yeah. Wow, thanks,
What was
guys.
that for? What did we came up? I came up a couple times.
I asked your advice about something.
Terrible decision on your part.
I can't remember what it was now. There was something because we renovated the apartment when we moved in, because we'd owned it for quite a few years, but we hadn't lived there. And, can't remember, mate.
I can't remember either. I remember being up.
Yeah, I did ask your advice on something. Or was it the kitchen? It might have been the kitchen. Yeah, and I asked you what you think I should do.
Oh, no, it might have.
And anyway, I ended up getting an IKEA kitchen, and it's worked out pretty good, actually.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what you recommended.
That's exactly what I would have recommended.
Oh,
Yeah, go to IKEA.
Yeah. Don't pay me. Go to IKEA. No.
Oh, that's cool.
No, that's good. You guys aren't there anymore?
Yeah,
You still there?
we're still there. Yeah.
Oh, so you're the ones that have to travel a bit, 10 minutes or so
Ah.
from next week.
Oh, yeah, it's going to... Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know, mate.
Nah, he'll love it.
I'll have
They
to
love
let you
it,
know,
bro.
yeah.
They love it.
And now I'm rolling. We've changed positions.
What are some of the other churches in Broadbeach?
Yeah.
No, it's
Well, you
not-
got the Catholic
it's
Church.
not gonna be.
You got the.
Oh, yeah. St. Marius.
Oh, I hear
Yeah.
it's great. Nice
It's
new
not-
building.
Yeah, it's not going to be a problem. You can't... Once you got the family, you can't leave the family.
Nah, that's it.
It's pretty
And
cool.
majority of people have been driving. You've been rolling out of bed for 4 years now.
Yeah,
It's my turn.
yeah. Oh, is that near you, is it?
Yeah, just down the road.
pretty close.
Stones throw away.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
You'll know what it's like then.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can have it come over.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
the same distance for us. Same, pretty much same
It's
time.
one. I timed it. It's 1 minute difference for you.
Oh, yeah.
But that's at a general time. If you time
Yeah.
it in the mornings, it's probably going to be quicker because it's
Yeah.
less traffic lights.
So good. So happy.
Praise the Lord.
I'll probably drive next week to Broadbeach, probably.
Yeah.
I'll probably, what am I doing? Oh, my gosh.
It's
All right.
funny when that happens.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you want to hear some other stories?
Yeah, couple more.
Yes.
Okay.
Couple more.
How much time you got?
Oh, 5 minutes. 4 minutes. Yeah, give us another one, Bob.
Okay. So in 88, 89, I think it was, the job that I had closed down. I was working for Walton's. I don't know if anyone remembers Walton's department store.
No.
And anyway, what was that? Alan Bond actually bought them out, and he promptly sort of closed it all down. I don't know why he bought it. I know they used to own a lot of property because they used to, instead of leasing their department stores, they used to own them all. So they owned a lot of real estate. So whether that's what he wanted to get his hands on, I don't know. But anyway, the business closed, so I was made redundant, and didn't know what to do. And a job came up in real estate, and because I had been in sales, and I had been over the years, I had been thinking about real estate, and I actually did a course there sometime, a real estate course. But I never had the courage to leave a paid job because back in those days it was strictly commission only. But here I was, I didn't have to leave anything because I'd already lost my job. And a friend of ours who's got a friend who owned a real estate office actually told this friend about me, and she actually contacted me and said, "Oh, would you like to come and have a talk to me?" So I've got nothing else to do.
Come on.
So anyway, cut a long story short, I started in real estate. Now, we had, and this was down at Cleveland, and anyway, we had some money because
Redundancy.
I got a redundancy payout and everything like that. So in real estate back in those days, they don't do it now, but back in those days, you had to have a fairly nice car because you had to drive people around. You had to drive people around and show them properties, and that doesn't happen nowadays. But back then. So the car I had at the time just didn't cut it, So I said to Julie, well, I got to get a nice looking car, because it's my business. So there was a car yard actually that was on the corner in front of the church we went to at Garden City there on Logan Road at Mount Cravat. There was a car yard there, and I went there, and the salesman was like my best mate. When he first came up.
Of course he was. What a top bloke.
Yeah.
Anyway, and the price of this particular car, because we decided, it's an investment, we've got to have a decent car, so regardless of what it costs. And the cost of this car was pretty well everything we had in the bank. There might have been a little bit left over, but we then didn't have an income until I first made a sale. So he said, take it for a test drive, go and show your wife and everything, because we only lived around the corner. And I did that, and I parked it in the driveway, and Julie and I stood there looking at it and said, it is nice. And so anyway, we decided, let's bite the bullet. Let's get it.
What you should have done is, hey, where's our daughter? Get her to come out and pray.
Yeah.
50% discount, Lord. Amen.
Yeah. So, we said, okay, we'll bite the bullet. We'll trust it. We'll trust that I start making sales and the money will start coming in and won't be a problem. So anyway, I drove the car back to the car yard, walked up with the keys in my hand, and the salesman came out and grabbed the keys off me, and he'd completely changed. He wasn't my best mate anymore.
Oh.
I don't know why. But he said, that car's sold. He said, someone that looked at it yesterday just rang up and they want to buy it, so it's sold. You can't have that one. And I said, okay. I said, well, what else have you got? And he seemed to have lost interest, He looked around the car yard and there was one that was parked in the street that obviously hadn't been detailed yet. It was just sitting in the car. And he said, you can have that one for the same money. And it was nothing, I didn't even bother looking at it. It wasn't very good. So I sort of walked away with my tail between my legs, and cut a long story short, the next day I bought a car for half the price. That was just as good.
Wow.
So
there you go.
Little provisions like that.
Yeah.
Just I can look back and I've got 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
I can tell you where God has provided. But the story doesn't finish there. Wait, there's more. Because we used to go to the church that was behind this car yard, and you used to drive in the laneway beside the car yard. So for weeks, every Sunday when we used to drive into church, drove past that car yard, and that car was sitting in the car yard with a for sale sign on it. So I don't know what happened, but but the door was closed,
There you go.
Come on, how good is that?
Yeah, so I was stopped from buying that one, and I found a better one, and instantly I did start making sales, so we did have an income,
Perfect.
so it was good.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thanks for testifying. Thanks for sharing a bit more of the story and
Yeah, that's fine.
the journey.
I've got more.
I'm sure. What's one sort of word of encouragement, as you close off? Just one sort of like hook or mantra or sort of thing you hold on to.
Yeah, nice.
Well, I suppose I can't go past the daily walk with Jesus.
Awesome.
Just every day, keeping your eyes on him. I was talking, when I talk to young people, I talk about this, and it came to mind when I was talking to a young person last week. It came to mind the story in John 15, about he is the vine and we are the branches, and to remain in him.
Right. I like that.
And I think if I can say anything, I'll just say that.
Cool. Well, thanks, Bob Baxter.
Yeah, that's going to haunt me now.
It is.
He'll forget.
Yeah.
He'll forget.
Thanks for sharing. We really love you and Julie and who you are in our community. You're amazing. And
pleasure. And it's great to be in the community.
That's awesome.
And like I said before, from the day that we turned up there, we were just visiting, but from the day we turned up there, it's just home.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Great.